I'm gonna tell you a story I probably shouldn't. It's the kind of story that keeps you up at night, replaying every scene in your mother. The one no one ever talked about openly, at least not without lowering their voices. The Cole family was wealthy, powerful, and complicated. Everyone in Silverwood Springs adored their parents. But Damian? He was different. He was the scandal, the whispered warning, the dark shadow that followed the family name wherever it went. When I was 13, I remember hearing adults gossip about how Damian dropped out of Stanford, vanished for years, and returned with more money than anyone could explain. Billionaire money, untouchable money, and with it came rumors. Rumors about shady deals, offshore accounts, and business partners who mysteriously disappeared. I didn't see him for years. He was always away in New York, Dubai, Singapore until that night. The night Sienna invited me to the Cole family's annual gala at their cliffside mansion. "Come on, Ava," she begged over the phone a week before, her voice buzzing with excitement. "It's going to be magical this year. Damian's flying in. Everyone's talking about it." I hesitated. I knew I shouldn't. Being around Damian felt dangerous. But I said yes anyway, and that's where everything started. The night of the gala, the Cole mansion looked like something out of a dream. Golden lights cascaded down from towering oak trees, champagne glasses clinked under the soft hum of a live jazz band, and the salty ocean breeze drifted up from the cliffs below. it. But I did. God, I did. That was the day I walked into Damian Cole's world. The day everything I thought I knew about love, safety, and trust shattered. And the day I realized two things. First, Damian was hiding something big, something dangerous. And second, I was already in too deep. Because no matter how much I told myself to stay away, I couldn't. I didn't know it yet. But I was falling, hopelessly, irrevocably, for him. And by the time I discovered his secret, it was already too late. I should have said no. I should have ignored Sienna's call, pretended I was busy, and buried every thought of Damian Cole deep where it couldn't touch me. But the thing about forbidden things, the more you try to stay away, the more they pull you in. 2 days after the gala, I stood in front of the Cole Enterprises headquarters in downtown San Francisco, staring up at a gleaming 80-story skyscraper that cut into the clouds like a blade. Sienna had texted me that morning, "Damian wants to see you. Noon. Don't be late." I must have read that message 100 times, each word pounding in my chest like a drum. I told myself it was innocent, probably about the gala, maybe even an apology for scaring me that night. But deep down, I knew better. Damian Cole didn't summon people for small talk. Inside, the building was silent and intimidating. Every added, "And Ava, don't tell Sienna you were here." My stomach dropped. Why not? He didn't answer. He just stared at me with those cold, unreadable eyes until I finally turned and walked out. But here's the thing, I couldn't walk away. Not really. because as much as Damian Cole terrified me, he fascinated me even more. And somewhere deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. I was right. That night, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. If you want answers, meet me tomorrow. Midnight. Pier 39. Come alone. It didn't say his name. It didn't have to. I sat there staring at my screen, my heart racing, knowing I was standing on the edge of something I couldn't come back from. I didn't know it yet, but that midnight meeting would change everything. Because the secret Damian Cole was hiding wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. And soon, I'd find myself caught in a game of lies, power, and forbidden passion, where loving him might cost me everything. I almost didn't go. I spent the entire day pacing my apartment, overthinking every possible reason Damian Cole would want to meet me alone at midnight. Could have been nothing, or it could have been everything. My mind kept replaying his words from his office, his voice low and rough. Some secrets are worth killing for. I told myself I wouldn't get involved. I told myself to block the number, delete the message, and stay away from him. But when the clock hit 11:30 p.m., I found myself standing in front of my bathroom mirror, staring at my reflection like a stranger. My lips were trembling, my chest tight, and yet my hands moved on their own, pulling on my black leather jacket, tying my hair back, slipping my phone into my pocket. By 11:50, I was driving through the quiet streets of San Francisco, the city lights blurring past me as the sound of waves crashing against the pier grew louder. Pier 39 was nothing like it was during the day. The bustling tourist crowds were gone, the street performers silent, the restaurants closed. The air was heavy with salt, mist, and an eerie kind of stillness, broken only by the distant cry of seagulls and the low hum of water slapping against wooden pillars. And then, I saw him. Damian stood at the very edge of the pier, hands in his pockets, dark coat billowing slightly in the cold ocean breeze. He didn't move when I approached, but somehow, I knew he'd sensed me long before I arrived. "You came," he said quietly, without turning around. "You asked me to," I replied, trying to sound steadier than I felt. He glanced over his shoulder, his gray eyes catching the faint glow of the pier lights. Even in the shadows, there was something magnetic about him, like the danger itself was part of his allure. "You shouldn't have," he said, his voice low, rough. "It's safer for you if you stay away from me." "Then why am I here?" I asked softly. For a moment, he didn't answer. Then he turned fully, stepping closer until the space between us was charged with something I couldn't name. His gaze locked on mine, intense and unyielding. "Because," he said finally, "you deserve to know what you're walking into before it's too late to walk away." My breath caught, my pulse pounding in my ears. "So tell me," I whispered, "what are you involved in, Damian?" He studied me for a long, silent moment, as though weighing whether I was strong enough to hear the truth, or foolish enough to stay if I did. Finally, he exhaled, the sound sharp against the quiet night. "My company isn't what people think it is," he said. "Cole Enterprises has layers, some legal, some less so." I stared at him, trying to process his words. "Less so?" I repeated slowly, my voice trembling. "As in illegal?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he stepped closer, lowering his voice to a near whisper. "There are deals happening across borders you can't even imagine, Ava. People involved in things that don't forgive mistakes. If anyone finds out you've been near me, near this, you become a liability." A shiver ran down my spine, but it wasn't just fear. It was him. The closeness, the low rasp of his voice, the weight of his gaze pinning me in place. "Then why involve me at all?" I breathed. He hesitated. And for the first time since I'd known him, Damian Cole, the untouchable billionaire, the man everyone feared, looked conflicted. "Because," he said quietly, almost like a confession, "I can't stop thinking about you." My heart stopped. The words hung between us, carried by the ocean wind, sinking deep into my chest until breathing felt impossible. "Damian," I whispered, but I didn't know what to say after that. His jaw tightened as if he regretted saying it. but he didn't look away. "This isn't safe, Ava," he said softly, his voice rough with restraint. "Being near me isn't safe. But the more I try to stay away from you, the harder it gets." And then, silence. Neither of us moved. Neither of us spoke. The only sound was the soft rush of the waves beneath us and the unspoken storm raging between us. I should have walked away. Every part of me screamed to run before it was too late. But instead, I found myself stepping closer until there were only inches between us. The air so charged I could almost taste it. His hand lifted slightly, like he wanted to touch me but was holding himself back. His fingers curling as though even the smallest slip would set something in motion neither of us could stop. "You're playing with fire, Ava?" he murmured, his breath warm against the cold night air. "Maybe I like the burn," I whispered back, shocking myself. His eyes darkened instantly, a quiet storm brewing in the depths of his gray gaze. And then, before he could respond, a sound cut through the night. Sharp, distant, metallic. Damian's head snapped toward the noise, his entire body shifting in an instant from restrained tension to calculated danger. "Get behind me," he ordered, his voice suddenly cold, commanding. "What? Why? Do it," he hissed, grabbing my wrist and pulling me behind him just as two black SUVs came screeching around the corner of the finally touched mine, it felt like every warning, every danger, every reason to run dissolved into nothing. Because in that moment, there was no fear. Only him, only us. But somewhere deep down, even as the kiss deepened and the world outside disappeared, I knew this was just the calm before the storm. Because loving Damian Cole was never going to be simple. It was going to be dangerous, and I had already stepped too far to turn back. I didn't expect falling for Damian Cross to feel like drowning and breathing at the same time. It was terrifying, yet I couldn't stay away. After that night at Pier 39, everything shifted between us. We didn't talk about the kiss. We didn't talk about the way his hands had held my face like I was something fragile, breakable, precious. But something unspoken lingered in every glance, every accidental brush of fingers, every second we spent too close to each other. And maybe that would have been enough, living in this quiet, aching tension, if I hadn't found out just how dangerous Damian's world really was. It started the next evening. My best friend, Emily, Damian's younger sister, invited me over to their penthouse for dinner. I told myself I was going because of her. But that was a lie we both know I didn't believe. The Cross penthouse sat on the 47th floor, all glass and city lights, the kind of place you'd expect from someone whose name was whispered across Forbes lists and Wall Street magazines. Damian's wealth was intimidating, but that wasn't what made my chest tighten as the elevator doors opened. It was him. He was leaning against the kitchen island, sleeves rolled up, wristwatch glinting under the soft pendant lights. He wasn't doing anything extraordinary, just scrolling through his phone. But somehow, Damian Cross made existing look dangerous. His gaze lifted when he sensed me, and when our eyes met, it felt like the whole world tilted off its axis. "Hey!" I breathed, hating how nervous I sounded. "Ava!" His voice was smooth, deep, like a secret spoken in the dark. "You came." Emily bounced into the room, oblivious to the electricity between us, and launched into her usual cheerful chatter. Damian said little during dinner, but I felt him everywhere. The weight of his stare, the tension in the air, the way his hand brushed mine when he reached for the wine. I could barely taste the food. After dinner, Emily left to take a call, and suddenly, it was just me and him. The silence was thick, alive, almost unbearable. "You should deafening, broken only by the sound of waves against the yacht. I felt my throat tighten, fear and adrenaline tangling inside me. "So what? You're saying people are after you?" "Yes," he said simply. "And if they find out you're close to me, they'll come after you too." I should have been terrified. I should have walked away. But instead, all I could think about was him. The weight he carried, the loneliness in his eyes, the danger he faced every single day. "Damian," I whispered, stepping closer. "You should have told me sooner." His expression cracked for the first time, revealing something raw, vulnerable, unguarded. "I wanted to protect you," he said softly, "but you're already too close." And then he kissed me. This kiss wasn't like the one at Pier 39. Hesitant, stolen, unsure. This one was fire and surrender and desperation all at once, like he was breathing me in just to stay alive. My hands tangled in his shirt, his arms locked around me, and for the first time, neither of us pulled away. But when we broke apart, he pressed his forehead to mine and whispered, "Ava, if you stay, there's no going back." I didn't even hesitate. "Then I'm staying." I thought I was ready. I thought I understood what I was signing up for. But I didn't. Not yet. Because Damian's past wasn't done with him. And very, very soon, it was going to come for both of us. I used to think falling for someone meant butterflies and soft music and stolen long moment before answering. "The Blackwell Syndicate." I blinked, confused. "What is that? A company?" His dark laugh was humorless. "Not exactly. They're an organization. Powerful, dangerous, the kind of people you never want to owe a debt to." My stomach twisted. "And you owe them?" "No," he said, gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. "My father did." That night, Damian took me somewhere I'd never been. His private estate just outside the city, hidden behind iron gates and winding roads. It was beautiful, secluded, surrounded by silence and shadows. But the air felt charged, like danger was just waiting to knock on the door. Inside, we sat in his study, the fireplace crackling between us, and for the first time he told me the truth. "When my father was alive," he began, his voice low, "he made a deal with the syndicate. A bad one. He borrowed money to save one of our companies from collapsing. But he never paid it back. He died before he could. I frowned. So why are they after you? Because my father promised them more than money, he said, his eyes dark and unreadable. He promised them access to confidential tech, to military patents, to things people would kill for. I stared at him, my chest tightening. And now they think you have it. They don't think, he corrected softly. They know. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. I was processing everything, trying to understand how I'd gone from late-night walks and stolen glances to shadowy syndicates and men in dark SUVs. But before I could say anything, Damian reached for my hand. Ava, he said, his voice gentler now. This is why I wanted you far away from me. This isn't just business politics. These people don't play by rules. If they even suspect you mean something to me, they'll use you against me. I squeezed his hand, my heart pounding. Then teach me how not to be a weakness. His eyes locked on mine, surprise flickering there. Ava, I'm serious, I whispered. I'm not going to run, Damian. Not now. For a moment, he just stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Then he stood, pulling me with him, and before I knew it, his mouth was on mine again. This kiss was nothing like the others. It wasn't hesitant, and it wasn't desperate, it was claiming. Fierce, deep, consuming. My back pressed against the bookshelf, his hands tangled in my hair, his breath hot against my skin. Every rational thought. So what happens now? Damian stood tall, shoulders squared, jaw set. Now, he said, I stop running. The next few days blurred into a mix of tension, strategy, and stolen moments that burned hotter than I wanted to admit. I learned quickly that Damian's world wasn't just high-rise boardrooms and billionaire parties. It was shadow deals, encrypted calls, and security details that moved like ghosts. I should have been terrified, but being near him made me feel strangely safe. One night, as the city lights glimmered beyond the estate's balcony, I found him leaning against the railing, staring out into the darkness. I wrapped my arms around myself, stepping closer. You can't do this alone, I said softly. He glanced at me, his jaw tightening. I've done everything alone, Ava. Yeah, I said, meeting his gaze. And look where that's gotten you. Hunted, exhausted, and trusting no one. For a moment, his expression softened. I trust you, he admitted quietly. My heart stuttered. Then let me help. He hesitated, then nodded slightly, as though the decision cost him something. If we're going to do this, he said, you need to know the whole truth. And then he told me everything. The syndicate didn't just want patents or access. They wanted something far worse. A prototype. One Damian's father had hidden before his death. Technology capable of encrypting and erasing entire financial systems. Billions could disappear overnight. Governments could collapse. And Damian was the only one who knew where it was. I gripped the railing, trying to steady myself. Damian, this is insane. They'll kill you for it. He nodded slowly. I know. Before I could respond, movement in the shadows below caught my eye. Figures. 3 of them moving silently across the estate grounds. Damian, I whispered urgently, pointing. His body tensed instantly, instincts kicking in. Stay here, he ordered, but I grabbed his arm. I'm not hiding while they come for you. His gaze locked on mine, intense and unyielding. Ava, if you stay by my side tonight, there's no turning back. I swallowed hard, my heart pounding. I already told you, Damian. I'm not leaving. Something flashed in his eyes. Pride, fear, hunger, all tangled into one. Before he took my hand and pulled me inside. The next moments were chaos. Damian's security team mobilized. Alarms hummed low in the walls, and somewhere outside, sharp, muffled sounds cracked through the night. I didn't know who those men were or what they wanted, but I knew one thing for sure. I was in this now, for better, for worse, for danger. And as Damian loaded a gun with steady hands, his gaze cutting through the dim light, I realized something chilling. This wasn't just about his past anymore. It was about our future. The night felt endless, stretched thin by tension and silence. The men we'd seen outside were gone by the time Damian's security team swept the grounds. But the message was clear. The syndicate wasn't bluffing anymore. They're tightening the noose, Damian said grimly as he secured the windows in his study. His jaw was set, his movements sharp and precise, but I could see it in his eyes. A flicker of something he rarely let anyone see. Fear. What do they want, Damian? I whispered, standing behind him. Really? His shoulders tensed, his back still turned to me. I told you, the prototype, but it's not just that anymore. I frowned. Then what? He turned slowly, and the weight in his gaze made my breath catch. You. They know I care about you now. That makes you leverage. My heart stuttered. So, what are we supposed to do? Hide forever? No, he stepped closer, his voice low, urgent. We fight back. Before I could ask what he meant, he said, his voice low, controlled but strained. I hesitated, stepping closer. About Elias? His jaw tightened at the name. About all of it. The syndicate, the prototype, my father. And now you. I froze. Me? Finally, he turned to face me, and the look in his eyes nearly stole my breath. You were supposed to be safe, Ava. I brought you into this house to protect you. But tonight proved something I didn't want to admit. I swallowed hard. That I'm already a target. He nodded once, sharply. Elias made it clear. They know what you mean to me now. Which means... He exhaled heavily, dragging a hand through his hair. Which means they'll use you to get to me. I took another step toward him, refusing to let the fear win. Then teach me how to fight back. His head snapped up, his eyes burning. No, absolutely not. Damian, you don't understand, he said, his voice cutting through the quiet like a blade. This isn't about guns or guards or strategy. Elias doesn't play fair. The syndicate doesn't negotiate. They exploit, they manipulate, and they destroy. Then what? I whispered. What's the plan? Because hiding clearly isn't working. For a long moment, he just stared at me, like he was weighing something heavy in his mind. Then, finally, he said, "We take the fight to them." Before I could reply, a sharp knock at the door interrupted us. Marcus stepped inside, his face grim. "They hit another facility," he said flatly. "This time, one of ours." Damian straightened immediately, tension rippling through his body. "What did they take?" Marcus hesitated, his gaze flicking briefly to me before settling on Damian. "Nothing. But they weren't after the prototype this time." "Then what?" Damian demanded. Marcus swallowed hard. "Information." The word hung in the air like a threat. Damian's eyes narrowed. "What kind of information?" Marcus hesitated, then said quietly, "About your father." Something shifted in Damian's expression. Something sharp and dangerous. "Leave us," he ordered Marcus. When the door closed, I stepped closer. "Damian, what aren't you telling me?" He sank onto the edge of his desk, leaning forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. For a moment, he looked almost vulnerable. "My father," he began slowly, "wasn't just a CEO. He wasn't just wealthy or powerful. He was part of something bigger. The syndicate, I guessed." He shook his head faintly. "Bigger than them. Older than them." He paused, his voice low, haunted. "There's a hidden archive. Something my father kept locked away for decades. Files, recordings, deals, lights flashing past us in jagged streaks of color and shadow. Damian's convoy stretched behind us. Black SUVs filled with armed security, each one moving with precision. I could feel the weight of his thoughts pressing against me in the quiet. Finally, I reached out, threading my fingers through his. "You're scared," I whispered. His jaw flexed, but he didn't deny it. "Not for me," he said simply. "For you." Something in my chest shifted, tightening and softening all at once. He didn't have to say more. I understood. When we reached the docks, the air was sharp with salt and diesel, the wind cutting through the night like blades. The ship loomed in the distance, floodlights spilling across the water, shadows moving across the decks. Marcus gave the signal, and Damian's men fanned out in silence, taking positions. Damian's hand lingered on my arm as he turned to me, his voice low, urgent. "If anything goes wrong, Marcus gets you out," he said firmly. "Damian, no arguments this time, Ava. Promise me." I stared up at him, my heart hammering, and finally nodded. "I promise." But I lied. The assault was fast, brutal, precise. Damian's men moved like ghosts through the shadows, disarming guards and cutting through Elias's defenses one by one. I stayed hidden behind a stack of containers, my breath shallow, watching flashes of light and hearing bursts of gunfire echo across the docks. Then I saw him, Damian, moving like controlled chaos, each strike calculated, lethal. There was something terrifying about his focus, something raw and unrestrained, and something I couldn't look away from. But then everything changed, because Elias stepped onto the deck. And he wasn't alone. He had Damian's father bound, bruised, barely conscious, and a gun pressed to his temple. The world narrowed to that single moment. "Damian!" Elias's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and mocking. "One wrong move and the old man dies." Damian froze, his weapon still raised but his chest heaving, his entire body coiled like a spring ready to snap. "You want him alive?" Elias shouted. "Then you give me the codes. Now." I didn't know what he meant at first, but Damian's expression told me enough. These were the archive codes, the only thing standing between Elias and total control. Marcus swore under his breath, whispering, "Boss, don't." But Damian didn't move. Elias tilted his head, smirking. 5 seconds, Cross. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. I didn't know what Damian would choose, his father's life, or the one thing keeping Elias from destroying everything. For seconds, 3, 2, and then Damian said, his voice like steel, "You'll never get the codes." Elias's smirk faltered. "Wrong answer." There was a shot. I screamed, and everything went dark. The world fractured into sound and chaos. The gunshot's echo slammed through the docks, sharp and deafening, drowning out every other noise. For a second, I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, just stared into the darkness where Damian had stood. bell, so you're the first to know.